Hi, and welcome to this recording. Yes, this is the project that we will be working with at the end of the Python course we have just started. We actually going to be building a financial market data control application. This application is going to be able to display financial market data in charts and in graphs. So this document here is a PDF file and it carries the system architecture specification, how we're going to go about to build this application, what we're really going to do. So this document outlines the architectural structure and engineering standards for a high performance Python-based CLI application designed to process financial market data. The system bypasses the global interpreter lock for parallel execution, manages asynchronous dispatch, and utilizes low memory ingestion techniques. Now, the ideas that have been talked about here are the ideas we thrashed during the course, and we talked about the global interpreter lock, we talked about parallel execution, asynchronous programming, and using low memory ingestion techniques. So we are actually going to see the implementation of these concepts in this application. So this document contains the project directory structure that we're supposed to have. So to ensure maintainability, the project isolates bound tasks, IO bound tasks, that is input output bound tasks, fetching data, async dispatching from CPU bound tasks, tokenization, parallel processing. So below is the defined model structure. So the first step that you have to carry out for this project is to create this directory, this project directory, and this is the structure that you're going to follow. So the name of our project directory is financial underscore market underscore CLI. And yeah, this is the root directory for the project. And then every other directory we create and file we create will be inside. So you need to follow this structure very carefully so that you don't put files in the wrong places or put folders in the wrong places. Now, a very quick key to understanding the structure is where there is a forward slash in front of a name, you should know that that is signifying a folder that can contain other folders and other files. So financial underscore market underscore CLI is the root folder for the project. And inside of this folder, we are going to have several folders and files. So what we have right here is the SRC folder. This file has been mailed to you, so you can actually download the file and then follow the structure to create this. So we're just going to jump straight to the first part of the application that we will be working with, or we'll be working with. So we jump into that, and that's what this class actually is about. So there is another file that we are going to work with. In fact, two files have been mailed to you. The first one we just looked at and the second one. So the first part of the application we are going to be dealing with is the part that allows us to generate our data, financial market data. We won't be using real financial market data right now. We'll be using data that we generate and can behave, looks like real time financial market data. So that's what we're going to be doing first. We're going to be generating that data. And here is the PDF file here is a PDF file that contains the code we're going to use to do that. So how this is going to work is there are two different files we'll be working with. One of the files is going to be inside of the worker module, so inside of the worker directory, and the worker directory is also going to be inside of the SRC directory, as you can see. So the file is going to be named mock underscore generator .py. So you need to create this file inside of this directory. And then the second file, which is going to be a test script, it's going to be used to test the code inside of the mock underscore generator.py file. So the name of this file, you need to ignore the name test underscore run.py, and rather you'd use the name test underscore generator dot py. Okay, so when you've been able to create these files, of course you have to create these files so that you can put the code inside of them. You need to pay attention to the folders where these files have to be in. So you need to be very, very careful. This is my VS Code terminal. So this is my VS Code application, and here's my uh, project structure here: financial markets underscore CLI. So this is it here, and these are the files that I have created. To actually run this first part of the code, you don't necessarily have to create all of the files and all of the folders. You just make sure that you have the SRC folder and the worker folder inside of the SRC folder, and then you just need to have mock underscore generator dot py inside of the worker folder. And then you also need to have, let's see, what other file do you need to have? You need to have, okay, good. You need to have the test underscore generator, the py file inside of the tests directory. The tests directory is going to contain files that you can use to test the code that you write. So we've written the code for mock underscore generator.py that's going to generate our fake market data. And then to test this code, we create a file inside of the test directory called test underscore generator.py to test how it works. So the test underscore generator.py simply imports from worker.mock underscore generator. As you can see, the name of this original file is mock underscore generator, and it's inside of the worker directory. And so to have it imported, we use from worker.mock underscore generator import market data feed. Market data feed is the function that we define here that is going to provide the data that we need. So this is the code for it. So what we're just going to do is create this files, put this code here, and then run the script to see the kind of data that we're going to generate. I already have done that, and this is what we have. Very minimal. We don't need so much right now. We just need, basic data to be able to create the application. So what we have, data has this structure. It has a timestamp, it has a ticker, it has a price, and it has a volume. Now, the timestamp simply is referring to the period of time, and it's simply referring to the period of time when this data got in. All right, so this is the data that we have generated. This is the data, kind of data that's going to be generated when you run the code as well. So this data that we generate that we can see here is actually going to work with the test underscore generator as a py file. The mock underscore generator of the py file does not save the data it generates in any file. So we can actually check out what is being generated here in this file. We're actually going to generate about 1 million of these data, and that's going to be very difficult for us to display. And this is one of the reasons that we will be using async in defining a function so that we can work with batches of this data one at a time and all that. So this is the kind of data it's going to generate. It's going to have a timestamp, that's the time. It's going to have a ticker. A ticker simply is referring to the name of the business or the name of the company whose whose yeah whose whose business is involved here. And then we have the price, and then we have the volume. Yeah, we have the price and we have the volume. So this file is data underscore sample.txt file. You can name your file whatever you want. So you can study the code to see how it's working. We use several modules here, several libraries, several modules here to get things working. sys.path.append, os.path.abspath, os.path.join, os.path.dirname file SRC. So I think this may not be very easy for you to understand, but if you can actually carry out some practices, if you've used the path system module before, you may understand how this works. So you just need to know that you need these two files. This is the real file that does the work, and then this file is used to test the code inside of this file. So you can run the test underscore generator.py file script in Python. It's going to generate that, and then give you the result. We also need to know here that I think in the mock underscore generator of the Py file, you can determine how much data you get at a time. That's what we have here in line 9, the batch size, that's 500. You can decide to make it 1000, you can decide to make it 200. It simply is referring to how much data you can handle at a time. Like I said again, we're going to be generating about 1 million, yes, 1 million rows. We'll be generating 1 million rows, and then we'll be processing these 1 million rows uh, in batches. So the first batch, each batch is going to be about 500. You can increase that batch depending on how you want it. So this is it. Lots of terms that we may not really completely understand, but this is the code that gets our application running. We generate the data we want, and then we see how we can take it from here.